To you. This is Brother Salih from the Zeb Tepe Institute, and I wanted to come out this morning. This is a beautiful morning on the 17th of August, and I wanted to share a little bit with you about what I've been studying. I am a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I make no bones about that. I want everybody to understand exactly where I'm coming from, and I was intrigued by his teaching of the theology of time. And because of that, it caused me to go into a great deal of study. And actually, I've been on a probably 35, 40-year study of that teaching alone. Now, earlier on, I can remember doing research and going back under the Freedom of Information Act and trying to get what the government had on the Nation of Islam. I ran into articles that were written along the time when Master Fard Muhammad was in Detroit. And they quote him, Master Fard Muhammad, is saying that he taught ancient Islam and Kabbalah. So as a result, I started to try to find what he meant by ancient Islam. And I tried to find out what was Kabbalah, and that led me into a very, very serious study. In any event, a couple points. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that we live within a 25,000 year cycle. And he said that this 25,000 years is pre-written. The history of it is pre-written by 24 scientists. He said 23 do the writing, and the 24th acts as the judge. Now, I don't know this to be the exact truth, but I come to understand that not only was he talking about a council of men that exist at one point, but he was also talking about the very DNA, the 23 chromosomes, and the very deoxynucleic acid that is the blueprint for life. That's what he was talking about. And he was saying that during this 25,000 years, everything that is going to manifest, including the social orders and the behavior of man, are already present, are already pre-written in that history. Now, when I went back into ancient Egypt, I found also this 25,000 year cycle. I found it in the writings of the Sumerians. I found it in the writings of the Mayans. I found it in almost every ancient society. And what they talk about is a cycle of 25,920 years. This period of time is what they call the Great Year, and it actually represents what they call the precession of the equinox, or the progression of the equinox. Now, we know that the earth actually spins or goes around the sun, and that cycle of the earth going around the sun is 1 year, or according to our current calendar, 365 days. But during that period, we also have seasons, and in these seasons, this is where the electromagnetic energy in the field of the earth produces life. And right now we're coming from summer going into fall. And as you can look around, you'll see the trees behind me. They're still green, but pretty soon they're going to start turning brown. And when they start turning brown, and they'll fall off the trees, and the trees become barren, and the leaves will go back into the earth, and before you know it, a cycle of life is beginning. And as that goes back into the earth, we go through a winter period, and then spring comes, sap season, and things begin to bud again. And then we go into the fullness of the summer. In this cycle of energy, of going between hot and dry, and cool and moist, we see it in the 24-hour cycle that we call day and night. During the day, as the earth spins, when we're facing the sun is bright and the heat and dries. But at night, when the sun starts going down and the moon comes up, which becomes the luminary of the night, we become cool, and you see moisture forming on the grass. Most of the time you come out in the morning, you can see the moisture on your car, on the grass. This is the cycle of life. And everything that exists, everything that's living, and everything that's operating in what we call time functions within that realm, or within that cycle of energy. Now, the earth also, as it goes around the sun and is spinning, it also is not completely round. So it spins on a wobble. So it spins like this. And during this spin, it actually takes the 25,920 years to make the complete cycle. And during this cycle, it actually changes 4 pole stars, or changes from 4 different pole stars, which affect the electromagnetic energy and flux of life on our planet. So we learned that during this 25,000 years, 2,190 years is what we call an age. And we can see during these ages the effect of time on the development of man and his social order. This electromagnetic field that we function in is sensitive to thought. And you could see in our teachings, and in the example of Fard Muhammad, and in the example of Elijah Muhammad, how they impregnated the field with ideas that then manifested in the people. This is the science that we need to begin to understand. Now, I want to drop one more thing in this short little clip, because I'm only doing small clips because I don't want to overwhelm people with information. But during this little short clip, I want to also let you know that 25,000 years is present in the cycle of your very life. Everything in creation vibrates. The atom, the very atoms of life, there are a nucleus that has a positive and a neutral charge, and is surrounded by electrons. And if you can remember your science class, you've seen the small circle of the positive and negative charge that we call the nucleus of the atom, and then you saw the circle of energy that we call the negative charge electron that goes around it. Well, in that same pattern, you see the sun surrounded by planets. And this is the very pattern of life. Everything, even light, moves in a circular, serpent-like pattern. So beginning to understand the patterns of energy is very important for us, since we are all supposed to be scientists. Everything also functions on a 1-to-4 ratio. The average person breathes 18 breaths a minute. And then in that 1 minute, they have 72 heartbeats. That is what's considered normal. In a course of 24 hours or a day, guess how many breaths a man makes? 25,920 breaths in a 24-hour cycle. So our ability to connect is through our breath. The scripture says, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living soul. It is that ruach, or that breath, that is the very nature of God that's in us. It's our connection to God. And when we learn how to control our breath, then we can learn how to control and connect to different aspects of our consciousness. This is why meditative trance is probably one of the most important things that we need to get on in this dispensation of time, as we return back to ourselves, the original man. This is Brother Salih speaking to you from Dunleaf Park, representing both the Zep Tepi Institute and the Nation of Islam. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.